Hello and welcome to Chats, a television podcast, Season 12, PeaksChatz, The Return. My name is Magellan, and riding with them just might save my ass. It's Alan.
You know, I don't always consider myself a savior type, and in this case, I still don't, because I don't want to be associated with the character in reference today, but thank you, Magellan, regardless. I'm always happy to be here and save you.
You don't want to be associated with the beacon of good and light that is an agent of the FBI? Come on.
Not this
Anyway.
time.
Not this time. And joining us for this episode and our entire coverage of The Return, once we pod, it can all be different. It's Ryan.
My name is Ryan, and this here's me destiny.
A series of unrelated events brought you to this exact episode right here. And you're going to punch us incessantly.
Yep.
Great.
Is this episode a backdoor pilot for the Glover TV show?
Oh, yeah.
I love the glove. Classic N64 platformer Glover finds itself in a powerful form of use here in Twin Peaks: The Return.
Yeah. Finally, the Glover spinoff we were all waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
This week on PeaksChatz, it's going to be a little different. Probably you're going to get 2 episodes this week because we watched 2 episodes of Twin Peaks: The Return, which aired together on the same night, parts 17 and 18. You know what you're listening to right now, and you can see how long it is. So you're either hearing an episode on part 17 alone, which is probably the case, or on both. And if you're just listening to part 17, in a couple days, you'll get the part 18 second half of this season series finale discussion. But I'll introduce both. So this week we watched part 17, which has the tagline, "The past dictates the future," and part 18, which has the tagline, "What is your name?" Both of which were directed by David Lynch, written by Mark Frost and David Lynch, and both aired together on September 3rd, 2017. So we did it. We got our nice happy ending to Twin Peaks: The Return. All of our characters that we love so much came together and celebrated one another's presence, and I feel really good about all of that, actually.
I don't believe you.
What are you trying to say? Wait, hold on, where's this clip at? You trying to say, where's this clip? Oh, this one.
We live inside a dream.
Is that what you're telling me right now?
No, thank you.
Listen,
I love the show, and even me the first time around when this finale happened, I'm like, fuck this shit.
Yeah, I'm really curious about, because I kind of insulated myself from conversation about it at the time. How did you both feel in 2017, and how did people feel in the immediate aftermath of this 2-parter?
Alan, you go first.
Yeah, I remember very specifically, and this shows where my critic brain was at in 2017. I was like, okay, I think I understood what happened, but I need to read someone else's take. And I watched it live, so there simply were no takes yet. And there was this brief period that night where I could barely sleep because I was like, how am I supposed to know how I felt about this? This is not giving me clear answers. This is not giving me catharsis that I wanted. How am I supposed to feel? And, meanwhile, David Lynch is like tiptoeing, dancing in the corner. Like, I'm entirely glad that that's exactly the intent here. It's like, you shouldn't feel satisfied because it's not satisfying, and that's fine. And I love that for it. I think this is an extremely challenging pair of episodes to discuss. I think it's going to test our abilities as critics to make coherent points here. But at the end of the day, I think it was really interesting. And I think I like a lot of it.
Alan, I vividly remember you texting me as you were watching the finale.
Oh, yeah?
And I remember because you said, there's no fucking way that's the ending. And then 2 minutes later, you were like, fuck!
There's no way. I refuse to believe. Yeah. It just feels incongruous. You're like, this is not... And that sense of disappointment, dread, stress pervaded this whole 2-hour stretch for me. Where I was like, I know I am watching a finale to a TV show that I care about a lot, and I'm rewatching it so I know where it goes, but I feel like shit. I feel bad. I feel like I shouldn't have watched this. Like, I feel like it's my fault that this happened. I've somehow done something wrong, and that feeling pervaded through the whole episode.
And then Angelo Badalamenti shows up and gives you the musical equivalent of what you've been feeling.
Yes, and you're like, oh,
Right,
thanks.
right.
Thank you, Angelo. Appreciate you.
Yeah, when I first saw this, I had a really deep, bad feeling in the pit of my stomach when it ended. And then reflecting back on it, I think that as a finale, these pair of episodes suck. Like as to the conclusion of like the show, even watching for 16 episodes, it's like a bad resolution. But as like the final word on Twin Peaks, and as like a thematic button on the entire Twin Peaks as a whole, it's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
So
interesting. What's the distinction for you there between those two things?
It just turns into a David Lynch movie, and you get the sense that David Lynch and Mark Frost are kind of ruminating on like what does it mean to bring back Twin Peaks, and sort of challenging like audience expectations versus what Twin Peaks is at its core. At its core, it's an abuse story, and how do we grapple with bringing that back when it's sort of entangled in this the story that's sensitive and means a lot to people. What does it mean to bring that back? And what does it mean? Why do we want Cooper back specifically? What is the thing that the Cooper character wants? And why do we want that to happen? Is it a good thing that we want Cooper back? You know?
Yeah,
it's for me. It's my to build on that. It's the television equivalent of when you're having an argument with someone and you know that you're wrong, and they keep saying the same point over and over again, and you're looking for different avenues to be like, no, but, and then they start, and then parts 17 and 18 are them raising their voice and being like, you are not listening. Shut the fuck up and listen to what I'm saying. You're the reason this is happening. And I'm like, all I can do is feel bad. I don't know how, like, I can't apologize. I can't get out of this hole. It's so bleak, dude. I do love that about it, though, because it really is like the whole season has been like, why did you want the return? Why did you want Cooper so badly? You got him. Now what do you want? This is what he was. And it's like, oh, okay. I guess you're right. I guess I didn't think about it hard enough. I'm sorry, David and Mark. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think that this finale like doesn't hate Cooper, but is very critical of him and his actions in a way that is super interesting. I also think that this is just like top tier filmmaking. Like David Lynch is just flexing. Like he in my mind is like a master of horror, where he can just make 3 people talking on a porch scary as shit. He doesn't need to do anything else. It's a masterclass.
Yeah, for sure.
Magellan, having the experience that you did, the sort of unique, like having something spoiled for you but not other things, where did you land on this?
You know, it's a deeply it's a deeply unpleasant finale. Like, it feels bad to watch, and that's the point. It's challenging, and I felt challenged by it. And I have a ton of respect for that. When it ended, I was thinking a lot about, you know, a lot of my thoughts on these 2 episodes center around this idea of the return as a theme or a concept. And the most surface level version of that is Twin Peaks returning to television, and this sort of like meta commercial sense of what it means for the show to return. And what other show or media property returns with this like goal in mind to challenge people and ask them like, why did you want this? Like every remake and reunion is framed around like, oh, it's your favorite characters and they're back and they're hanging out again. Doesn't it feel so good? and you can sort of say like, yeah, it feels kind of weird, but sure, I'll pretend that it feels good. And I just have a lot of respect for the way that The Return, it still enjoys those things and has its moments where it's nostalgic, but overall is looking us in the face and being like, you have a really weird relationship with television where you expect this sort of like happy-go-lucky, rosy reunion of characters that is like totally disconnected from narrative logic. So that worked for me, but it also was not fun. It was like really uncomfortable to experience, I think.
Yeah. Also worth noting, like, The Return is a subtitle that Showtime gave it.
Interesting. Huh.
The name that Mark Frost and David Lynch is just Twin Peaks.
Yeah, on IMDb it's listed as Twin Peaks, and then the year happens to be 2017. You have to
That's
search for it.
fascinating.
The Blu-ray says Twin Peaks: A Limited Event Series.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
It's just titled Twin Peaks, which is like
Right.
interesting to me.
That's why I don't refer to it as like Twin Peaks season 3, because it is like a sort of deliberate inversion of what you've expected, and is full of all of the like classic cinematic parallel techniques. How does mirroring work? How does match cutting work? It's just like you're saying, Ryan. It's a film school 101 version of like, how do you tell the same story again, but reframe it and make it mean something different or feel something different. Because this is all stuff we've seen before. There's a hilarious classic interview from, I believe, around the time that the episode aired on Entertainment Weekly called Talking to David Lynch About Twin Peaks: The Return. And something I do love about that interview where Darren Franich is trying to talk to Lynch and ask for answers. And of course, Lynch is just like, no. Like, the most famous part of that is when he asks about Billy, and the quote in the interview is Lynch, it's like, as Lynch saying this, laughs and then does not answer. Because he refuses. He says, quick follow-up question, what is the story with Billy? And then Lynch says, laughs, does not answer. But in that, he makes the point that, like, Twin Peaks Season 1 ended with Cooper in a bad place. Twin Peaks Season 2 ended with Cooper in a bad place. Twin Peaks: The Return ends with Cooper in a bad place again. Like, it isn't that different. And yet, it feels different.
Right.
Because of how we're framing it.
And this feels so final.
Mm-hmm.
This just feels like this is the period on Twin Peaks. I remember Mark Frost, before this finale aired, he did like a thank you post to the fans. He's like, to everybody who wanted Twin Peaks to come back, thank you. Like, you're the reason this exists. Like, we couldn't done it without you. And then everybody watches the finale, and we're just like, fuck off, dude. Come on.
Hope you like it.
Yeah, it's why it's always funny to me when people are like, but they should do a season 4, right? And it's like, well, first of all,
no.
No. Second of all, it's not even a season 3. So what's there to make a season 4 about? Third of all, no. Once again, I think Lynch wants to continue making movies in some capacity. He's done a lot of different cinematic projects since this, but like, this feels like it's gonna be his best TV work for probably the rest of his career. I don't see how you like level beyond this, honestly.
And this is just so, I can't believe this was shot at once.
Yeah.
Because even watching like some of the behind the scenes stuff, and I'm like, damn, like, I'm a Good Man woman, like, was this same show. Like, all of these characters, like,
the show.
Yeah, Ike Spike like tried to kill Cooper, and this was like not too long ago. What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
And for them filming it, it's even closer together. So
it's such a big, ambitious thing to film all at once.
There are imperfect moments in these episodes where I felt like, especially in 17, I'd say, where it's like, okay, I can see how the actors had to be like, okay, who am I right now? What state is my character in? Am I back? Am I not back? Like, the character development doesn't always feel perfectly linear, but I think that contributes to the sense that, like, these episodes feel a little bit out of time. So in some ways literally, in some ways not.
Yeah.
But I'd love to drill down into part 17 if y'all are interested in doing that.
Yeah, let's do it.
I guess we can. I guess so.
I suppose. Me telling Ryan, you have to talk about Twin Peaks. Ryan going, I mean, I guess.
If I must.
If I must. Bluest Rose 430 on Twitter says, I hate Twin Peaks. Gordon opens this fantastic episode making a toast to the Bureau, and he...
Making a dick joke.
Yep.
I have it right here, actually.
I couldn't do it.
You've gone soft in your old age.
What?
I said you've gone soft in your old age.
Not where it counts, buddy.
Effortless.
It's just like so low key about it. It's hilarious. Now where it
Slick.
counts, buddy.
He also
Me watching this was like, did he put that there on purpose because he knew that this finale was going to devastate everybody?
Yeah, he wanted something light to open it up. I think so. A
Right.
little bit.
This joke's gonna carry you through the whole thing.
My favorite part of the scene is when he says, "Now listen to me," and spends like 15 seconds just staring at Tammy and Albert before saying anything. Like just
And he's like, I'm about to retcon the shit out of the show.
Yeah. I'm about to undo everything you freaking knew, dude. He reveals to them that for 25 years before his disappearance, Major Briggs shared with him and Cooper a discovery about an entity that goes by, in some cultures, Jowday, which over time the word corrupted and became Judy, which is a name we've heard a million times. And Philip Jeffries was aware of this person, so Cooper told Gordon to try and find him if he disappeared. He also reveals that Ray Monroe was an informant and was the person who told them that the doppelganger of Cooper was looking for coordinates.
Mm-hmm.
How do we feel about Ray being an informant?
I mean,
Well,
that
first of
fucker
all,
Ray.
yeah, fucker Ray, yeah. Gordon also says that Cooper knew about Judy, was planning to do something about Judy, and that he was going to kill two birds with one stone.
Right.
Super ominous when you don't know what that means yet.
It's our first indication that maybe being in the lodge, there's a doppelganger, is something that Cooper fully understood was a possibility and is maybe even part of the plan. And it's like, wait, what are you trying to do? What are the two birds you're trying to kill here? Which when I heard that line, I was like, oh God, here we go.
I think this retcon sucks.
Why is that?
It makes the end of season 2 not make as much sense to me.
Exactly.
It just doesn't make any sense that Cooper would know who Judy was 25 years ago, unless this is time travel shit.
Which it could be. Like, it could be, but does that feel narratively satisfying? I don't think it does.
No, I just it just means he went to Twin Peaks to chase Judy, which doesn't make sense to me narratively. So
yeah, the Judy stuff in general is something pervading these two episodes that I can't. It's like looking into a void. Like if I look too deep into it, I just find nothing and I get scared. So I can't overthink it, because we've spent so much time being like, oh, Judy's a name that they've said since Fire Walk with Me, and Judy this, Judy that. But like, what tangibly in the episode is Judy, other than a pervading evil spirit that resides in and around Sarah Connor and Sarah Palmer?
Yeah. Sarah Connor and her chronicles.
Damn. Nice reference, Summer Glau classic. Sarah Palmer and the Palmer household. That's what Judy functionally is as of this episode.
It's like they built lore for it, but in the wrong direction. Like, I don't want you guys to actually backfill it. I want to know what Judy means now.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And the only answer that feels satisfying to me is that so much of this episode is about taking autonomy away from women, and also evil, fundamental evil. And so there is something there, but how it ties back to specifically to do this whole thing where Gordon is like, there, you called it Jowday, like as if we're gonna learn about the Sumerian texts or whatever, where they talk about Jowday, and it's like, no, it's not that. It's not that complicated. In the episode, it's not that complicated. It's implied, which I like. I think that's very of accord with Lynch, but it's not satisfying in the way that you want a big reveal like that to be. And it doesn't have to be.
Yeah. I think it works for me that Cooper's coming out of the Black Lodge having developed whatever the plan or scheme is that he has. And it doesn't make as much sense to me that he goes into it with a sense of, I'm trying to, if the two birds are I don't know, kill Bob and find Jude or whatever the two birds are. It's like it didn't seem in seasons 1 and 2 like you had that developed a sense of the cosmology of Twin Peaks. It seemed like you could tell that there was a serial killer, and you could tell where it was going to happen next, and you had this sort of like dream-like awareness of things beyond the mortal world. But it just is a little strange.
Yeah. Also, the Briggs retcon is dumb to me. Briggs was just like chilling with his wife in the last episode. It's like, I don't know. Like, I like the stuff in between season 1 and 2 where like Briggs tried to like, you know, confide in Cooper all the weird mythological shit, and it turned out like he was too late. It was evil Cooper. Like, I like that stuff. I don't like that Briggs knew what Judy was. That just doesn't match in my brain to me.
It also becomes this thing where all the characters, all the FBI people know about it, but we don't know about it. And so there's this disconnect where it's like, oh yeah, we all talk about Judy all the time. We've had plans to meet her forever. And it's like, but what do you, I feel useless here. I feel completely in the dark.
I thought you didn't talk about Judy.
Yeah, I thought we didn't talk. Exactly. We're not supposed to talk about that. And now suddenly we're like, yeah, everyone knew. We've all known this whole time. It's a little bit, it's a retcon, 100%.
Yeah, it's messy.
We get some comedy, though. A couple things that are really funny here. Again, Ray being an FBI informant, I just found charming. Like, yeah, of course he was. That doesn't surprise me, actually. The Agent Headley calls Gordon. I love it when Gordon gets phone calls in this episode. He lets them know that they caught up with we caught up with Douglas Jones, and he's like, "Really? He's there?" And they're like, "No, we found Douglas Jones, but we don't know where he is."
And then I loved. Then he puts Bushnell on the phone, and Bushnell delivers a message from Cooper. And my favorite laugh of this scene was when Gordon's like, "Who is this?" And they say,
And what is your name, sir?
Bushnell Mullins. Lucky 7 Insurance. I'm his boss.
Thank you, Mr. Mullins. Thank you very much. And that makes 2 of us.
I don't know why I found that so amusing that Gordon's like, "I'm his boss too," but it's really funny to me. I like that.
Two old men being like polite on the phone is very funny. I agree.
Yeah, and what a nice send off for Bushnell there.
I genuinely had I had a Mandela effect memory of Bushnell doing something with boxing. I really thought that. Maybe I just thought it for so long watching the original series that I thought it happened. Like I incepted it into my brain. It doesn't happen. Bushnell Mullins does nothing after this scene. But he does. He's the boxer in my heart. How about that?
What if Sarah Palmer was watching a Bud Mullins boxing match?
Whoa.
Whoa.
I want to watch that video essay.
Boing, boing, boing.
Oh, God. There's also a hilarious part where they reveal that they understand that Cooper is Dougie is Cooper. Do you have the clip here, John, of Gordon?
Dougie is Cooper? How the hell is this?
Me missing the whole
Good
point
question.
of the show.
How's Gordon caught so unaware by this? Like, come on, man. You knew that somebody was Cooper. It's funny.
And they go down everything that's happened to Dougie, and they start searching him and realizing everything. They immediately they're the FBI, and they have like all this data on the guy just with his name. I love the way that Tammy here says he was caught sticking a fork into a wall socket.
It's pretty good delivery.
Yeah.
And then Albert says that's weird even for Coop.
Yeah. This is just across the board weird. Appreciate you, Albert. Yeah, so now Gordon says he knows where they're headed. Is this where they understand about the sheriff's station thing?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. So it finally starts to click for them. And then we, the viewer, go to the sheriff's station where many things happen. Several things occur. So first of all, a couple disconnected scenes. At the sheriff's department, Chad sees the drunk and thinks he's asleep. He's trying to pull a key out of his shoe. The first time he tries it doesn't work. Nido continues to make sounds and wakes up, which wakes James and Freddie up and makes Chad angry. Everybody's unhappy in the jail cells. And then Ben Horn, who's in this show again, don't forget about Ben, has a hilarious phone call with Sergeant Williams from Jackson Hole Police, who lets him know that someone who claims to be his brother, Jerry, says that, quote, his binoculars killed somebody, which is the funniest interpretation of Richard Horn's death. Jerry looked in the binoculars wrong and he died. So that's Ben. That's the end of Ben Horn. Again, I can't. You can't look too much into people's final scenes now because there's too many things happening. But it's really funny. And, he's
and you can bring some clothes. He's completely naked.
Have a good day, sir.
And now I have to picture Jerry Horn naked, unfortunately, and it's like, oh, great guys, thanks for that.
To me, he's just like wistfully dancing in the flowers. Wherever he's at. You know?
Yeah,
he's vibing.
Yeah.
I think the thing that this episode has, to Ryan, your point earlier of this is not necessarily the best finale for this season, but it's a great sort of thematic addition to all the different interpretations of what Twin Peaks is about. It has a similar quality to me of the season 2 finale, where there's just these kind of throwaway things of, and then this happened to this character. I don't know. Who cares? That's resolved so that we can look at the other stuff that we think is more important. And I didn't necessarily need like a deep meditation or resolution on like Ben Horn's whole deal. But then the question is like, why did he have a whole deal at all if this is where it goes?
Yeah. Why did Bobby have an arc where he's a cop and then he just doesn't do anything?
Right. It's just like nobody has like a complete arc, which isn't really what the show's about. But then I don't know. It's just strange because it's like it's
Hawk
a TV show.
Puts together that there's 2 Coopers, and then he looks at Evil Cooper and he's like, "That's Cooper." I'm like, bro, what?
What are you saying? You missed it.
5 episodes ago, you had this in the bag.
It's so funny. They spent all this time getting Hawk to figure it out, and then they're like, but he's late to the room, so
and he doesn't know anything. It's so bad.
Useless, yeah.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
Right at the last part of the sprint, they do Michael Horse dirty a little bit here, and they're just like, he's not the one we want to figure this out, so he can't do anything right now. It's like they brought every actor there, but none of them can do anything until until Cooper's there. So there's like a long period where they're all just like standing around the body.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Let's get there. Let's get there.
Let's get there.
Yeah.
So
because let's get there.
That's where all the cool stuff happens in this episode. The doppelganger reaches the woods and arrives with the coordinates. He sees some curtains. He sees Glastonbury Grove or something. It's pretty cool. There's a portal above him.
It's Jack Rabbit's palace.
Jack Rabbit's palace. Excuse me. I didn't see the tree. We return to the fireman's home, and now we have 2 big heads here. We have the Briggs head on the right, which is fine, and then on the left we have Cooper's head, which is caged inside of something. I have nothing to say about this other than it looks kind of funny.
I think it's really stupid.
I do too.
I had nothing but vitriol for the first half hour of this episode watching it. I'm like, why does the giant like swipe like an iPad away from Laura's house to the sheriff's station? It's so stupid.
Yeah.
Electricity.
Why does the Briggs head look like that? You couldn't get a better looking head for Briggs?
Right.
For Major Briggs? Come on.
You have plenty of shots of that actor that you could have. Yeah, it's bad. It just makes me think like all these times that we've not on this podcast made any huge efforts to quote unquote solve the show because we know that there's nothing to solve. But for this episode to finally be like, dude, stop looking for answers. It's nothing. It's a head. It's a head in front of a guy's bell or whatever. Like there's no answer here for you. There's something like cathartic about that. But Nido's.
What do you mean?
Well, so I mean, like, there are answers in, like, the Part 18 stuff, but also, like, sometimes the stuff that you're seeing here with Briggs' head being there and Cooper caged up is, like, some of it is imagery for the sake of imagery, I feel like.
I mean, the functional narrative of the scene is getting Batcoop away from the Palmer house and into the sheriff's station where stuff is destined to happen, right?
Yeah, but why is Briggs' head there?
Because he knew about he fucking has a partnership with the giant, and he was at the coordinates that Shaggy went to, and he went up into the fireman's place after that happened.
But
because this is like his head. We found the body and his head is with the fireman.
But that even more like underlines my point, which is like there's nothing symbolic about this. It just is Briggs there.
Yes. Remember at the beginning of the season where there was just like Briggs' fingerprints that has popped up throughout time?
Uh-huh.
Doesn't matter
Yeah.
Right.
at all.
Right.
But yeah, Night is not thrilled about Mr. C arriving there. It's really funny and also really, really frustrating that Mr. C arrives at the sheriff's station and Andy is the first one to see him. And he's just completely oblivious. He's just like, Agent Cooper, that's you. Hello, Andy.
It's so
it's me.
stupid, dude.
I'm
Nobody says anything. Oh my god.
I kind of liked it just because seeing Kyle MacLachlan playing Bad Cooper in the sheriff's station was really like, I don't know, that like really worked for me for some reason.
I don't disagree, but the fact that there's not even one line that is like, you look a little bit different, Agent Cooper.
Right.
Like
right.
anything, any indication.
Yeah.
That frustrated me.
Like,
yeah, like, well, you grew your hair out in a way that's a choice. I see.
And you're really tan, and you have like your fashion.
You've got huge pupils now. That's something.
Anyways, come on inside. And then you have to know that it's for your first clue that he's actually not Cooper because he doesn't want coffee.
I have that clip. It's pretty creepy.
You like a cup of coffee?
No, thanks. I'm all right.
Yeah, and just like listening to, like you said, John, listening to Kyle MacLachlan play Mr. C playing Cooper, and like it gets almost uncanny, but it's not really that good. Like he just can't be like friendly the way that Cooper is. But
right.
He is Cooper, so it's like you see something in there. It's kind of surreal in the right way. And so Andy sees that guy. Sees first. They come inside. Chad finds a key in his shoe and attempts to. He attempts to freaking.
Fucking Chad, man. He
tries
attempts to try to kill Andy or try to shoot him.
Yeah.
Calls him a mean name.
Yeah, we get because Andy's looking for Hawk, and before this, like Andy is like super psyched that Cooper's here, and then you see his smile like slowly fade away as he's realizing what's going on. And he goes to look for Hawk.
The best part of that is when he points to Lucy and goes, "Very important,
very important,
very important."
Yep.
Says it twice.
Yes, it's good.
Like, what am I supposed to say to that?
It's kind of funny that Andy got the whole download from the firemen with the very clear image of Bad Cooper next to Good Cooper. And he's like, oh man, Cooper's here. What's up, buddy? I totally forgot about all of the like lore that I got dumped into my brain.
Well, because I think it was delivered to him as if it was in a dream. So it's like not in his conscious memory, but he has to like dig into his head a little bit and go, "Oh shit, I totally thought that."
Yeah, it's like the thing with Lucy is the thing that triggers him, right? Where he remembers that he was supposed to like bring Lucy somewhere,
right?
Is what triggers his memory of the whole thing.
Yeah.
But Chad tries to shoot Andy unsuccessfully because Freddie punches open his jail cell and knocks out Chad. That's the end of Chad. He's done.
Good.
Meanwhile, the drunk man pulls his bandages off and like pokes his wounds while yelling, which like,
oh yeah, well,
gross, really gross. Yeah. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Then, the wildest thing that ever happened. Several things happen at once. Cooper, the real Cooper, the actual Agent Dale Cooper, he's still on his way here, booking it with the Mitchum brothers, and he calls Truman, but not our Truman, but the other Truman.
Oh my god! Please tell me you have this clip.
I have the one where it's the good version of coffee reaction. Is that what you're talking about?
I'm talking about the phone call.
This is what I have.
Just entering Twin Peaks city limits. Is the coffee on?
That's what I have.
Love that.
Before that, he says, "Harry, it's Coop," and I'm like, "Oh my god!" Yeah. He was also expecting Harry to be there. That's
I know.
The shippers are fed.
Yeah. Yep. It's the first person he looks for. I was happy to hear that again, and I felt it in my bones. Because you haven't touched the Harry Truman and Cooper relationship in this whole series, in this season, whatever. So finally, to have it just acknowledged, you're like, oh, "Thank you, oh my god!"
And like it's his first instinct.
Yeah, who's the first person you call? Of course.
It's also interesting to me that Cooper Cooper knows that Freddie's there to punch the Bob Orb into smithereens, and he knows what happened to Diane, and he knows all this stuff. And he's like, I'm not sure what's up with Harry, but I bet he's there. It's like, no, man,
And
he's not there.
Frank Truman has this incredible moment where he is on the phone with the real Cooper while staring at the other Cooper. And he's just like, what's going on? And the doppelganger realizes this, draws his gun. What I understand happens here, though, is that the doppelganger shoots him and hits his hat.
His hat? Yeah.
Boing, like it's a freaking cartoon western.
Yeah.
And then the GOAT, the number one herself.
Let's go.
Lucy is the one who shoots Mr. C in the fucking
Incredible.
back, killing him
Incredible.
instantly. Amazing. But, killing part 1 of 6 times he dies here.
Right.
Remember 10 episodes ago where Lucy didn't know how cell phones work?
Now she knows how guns work.
She also said, that's the next level. She even says, I finally figured out how cell phones work. I think she says that in this episode.
Yep.
Not something I expected to pay off, but here we are.
But here
and
we
I'm
are.
happy
Thank
for
Here
it.
we are.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark.
We've unleashed something evil by shooting this body once again. And Cooper arrives, Agent Cooper arrives just in time to see the woodsman do their whole episode 8 thing where they pull him open and cut him up and all that good stuff. And what comes out of Mr. C's stomach but what we've seen before, which is the Bob Ball. The Bob Orb. It's an orb with Frank Silva's face imposed on it. It looks really goofy. I have a theory.
Okay.
Mhm.
Is everything that's about to happen not real? Is any of this real?
Where do you think the real starts and stops?
I think it stops when Mr. C arrives. I don't know. This just feels so incongruous, and the only way it circles in my head, or it squares in my head, whatever, is by saying, like, well, none of this is happening. Like, this is what Cooper wants to happen, is like a young go-getter takes over for me and finally gets rid of Bob once and for all. But, like, what the fuck is the way it happens?
Right.
But then you'd have to say that none of the episode is real then.
Right. It's the, like, film theory thing of, like, well, if this scene didn't happen or if this was all a dream, then the whole movie was a dream and nothing is real. Like, drawing the line is not productive here, but I did feel a sense of lack of reality here.
Well, but I think what's interesting about you saying that is that the episode makes a very clear delineation when it puts the translucent Cooper face on the screen and he stares you into your soul and then he says, we live inside a dream. And that stuff happens after the Bob Ball stuff.
Yeah.
And so, like, to me, I hear what you're saying, Alan, and agree that the Bob Ball stuff is as, like, weirdly good guys are winning as the sort of celebratory the gang's all here kind of moment. But for some reason, the show is picking the gang's all here moment to inject this, like, pervasive, creepy, unreality visual component. And I wonder why that distinction is made at that time, but that's what the episode is doing.
Yeah.
The Bob Ball comes out and Freddie realizes it's his time to shine and engages in a 1v1 battle, Street Fighter style, with the Bob Ball. He says the line that Ryan referenced earlier. Absolutely hilarious. I
choose to think the Bob Ball isn't real because it's terrible filmmaking.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's just like shaky cam and CG. Like, it's all the most annoying to look at things also. But he says, I'm Freddie and this is me destiny. And then punches the Bob Ball multiple times. It gets up out of a, like, circle of fire in the ground and then rises up again and goes, ah, 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 and then he punches it again and again and again until it explodes into pieces. And I laughed because there was still an hour and 30 minutes left of Twin Peaks after we killed Bob. Like, the person who, like, on paper kind of, the person who's inside of Leland when he killed Laura Palmer is dead in, like, the first 30 minutes. And now
the main antagonist of the original series.
Right.
And it's like, now let's go on the adventure. Like, that's just so smart to me and so fascinating. It tells
like,
you that, like, this didn't matter. This never mattered.
But I hate this. I was into this stuff when I first watched it, but, like, watching it this time, I was just like, This just feels disrespectful to the memory of Frank Silva, to me. Is to have this video game boss battle play out. And Bob, like, says his catchphrase before he dies. And it's like, well, couldn't we, like, get together to do something more interesting? I don't know.
It's an very, very odd choice.
Also, Cooper didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
Freddie knows his destiny.
He's just the one that goes, Freddie, go do it.
Yeah, he's just said, Freddie, good job, Freddie. That's it.
Punch him, Freddie.
Cooper didn't have shit to do with shit.
Yeah.
He puts the ring on him,
He puts
I guess.
the ring on him, exactly.
That's it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
don't like this at all.
Yeah, it's strange. It's all strange. Because also it's, I don't know. Cooper's clearly in on like a plan that he cooked up with Mike and the firemen or something like that, where they're sitting around in the red room saying, okay, so Freddie's going to have a garden glove and he's going to be there and you got to tell him to punch Bob. And then Bob, and it's like, why, guys? Why is this the plan?
Major Briggs just knew it all, man.
Right.
He knew that you were going to have the key. He just knew it. And here's Gordon right on time because the FBI's fucking stupid and is late to everything.
Yeah.
Right on time.
Perfect. The funniest part here is that I believe it's Bradley Mitchum who says, "One for the grandkids."
It's a good thing we brought so many sandwiches.
And also, yes, Candy getting to meet Cooper is so good and makes me really happy. You actually have to bring him sandwiches.
I like Candy says this and Cooper just looks at her and nods.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love that. I love that the Mitchums are here and they're like, took the fucking words right out of my mouth. They're both just talking so much about how they don't know what to say. Cool guys.
It's so funny.
Welcome to the party. Yeah, and at this point, the Cooper face is on the screen.
Yeah, so this is a really important or like memorable part of this is there's a base level of what's happening and there's a metatextual level, and the base level is like Cooper. Well, what is the base level? What do we think it is? Like,
the base level is the gang's all here. Cooper is confident in his plan, whatever it is, and he hopes he can see. He hopes he can get to see everybody again soon. But you know, some things will change. The past dictates the future.
Yeah, he reunites with Diane, who was
we actually get to meet real
Naito,
Diane. Yeah,
and then
don't walk past that. Diane is Naito.
Right.
25 years later, do you know what's still relevant? A white actress playing an Asian person.
Jeez, you're right. Oh,
Bing
you're
bong.
so right.
Bing bong.
And we just have to put Naito in the red room to crack her open, and Diane's inside. Hello, and she has a red wig on because she's different than the tulpa. Okay.
I love when an Asian woman is a Fabergé egg.
Awesome. It's all great. Good work, everybody.
I hate it.
Yeah,
it's so bad.
It sucks. And then, like, okay, it turns out the difference between the tulpa and the real Diane is that real Diane is like very demure and like, hi Cooper. Oh, it's so good to see you. It's like, wait, who are you? You're not the
everybody just like looks at him making out.
Yeah, it's
they like passionately
weird.
make out for a minute straight.
Yeah.
I love seeing Laura Dern play a different version of Diane. I just don't think that, like, when I close my eyes and think about who Diane is, this one is not characterized. Like you said, Majalan, it's just like she's friendly and smiles a little bit and like does what Cooper says, which you know works for him. But I'm like, this is the Diane that we've been building up, and like since the pilot, and now we're finally really truly meeting her, and she has a red wig and she's kind of nice, and she makes out with him a bunch. Like what?
And I think that's kind of like that kind of works for me in the sense that from this point forward, we're living in Dale Cooper's world for worse. I was going to say for better or for worse, but it's for worse, I think. And like, this is the Diane that he would choose or want. I mean, she essentially acts pretty similar to How's Annie, in the sense where it's like, oh, you know, doe eyes, what's up?
My one defense of that would be this is only a case in part 17. Their relationship is completely different in 18.
Yes.
Yeah, it's much more complex in 18. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
The metatextual level, by the way, of Cooper's eyes, seriously lingering on like all of this, like Bobby getting there, the FBI getting there, all of this is something.
It is as if he is staring at what is happening.
Yeah, it's us watching it, right? It's a person watching it and being like, here's what I want to happen in front of me. I'm watching it. Like it's that classic tweet of like when you look at your phone and the screen turns black and you see your face. It's exactly that.
Yeah.
It's like it is the first sign that we get in this finale that like something is very wrong.
Yeah,
right.
You're watching this and it's not happening the way it was intended to, maybe.
And you know, we played it earlier, but Cooper says we live inside a dream, and that's when you know it's gonna be fucked because we only know one other character who says that, and he is a tea kettle. So
that feeling, Gwen, you're a tea kettle. From here, he does say, I hope to see everybody again. So we have this understanding of like, this is the end of the rest of the cast. This is going to become the Cooper and Diane show. But they take Gordon with them briefly as they walk through the darkness. Incredible shot here.
Oh, I also love when this setting fades. You know, Cooper yells for Gordon, which is super charming to me.
Don't forget, Gordon, I need you here too. And the three of them go through the Great Northern Hotel's furnace room, following the sound that we've been hearing about this whole time. Is it Josie? Is it something? The answer is so much more boring. It is just the place that they need to go next. Not boring, but just like, it's not a spirit. It's just like, it was a guide. It was an answer. It's a thing you've been looking for all the time, is that sound. Listen to the sounds, etc., etc.
Right. And Cooper's room key opens the door just because it's from the show, I guess. That happens.
It's just some Twin Peaks otherworldly bullshit.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's worth it to me, in my opinion, because we get Mike
talking
the curtain
forwards.
call. Yeah, and then we get to hear Mike talking forward, which is buck wild.
And I'm like, let's go. Firewalk with Me poem, hell yeah.
Is this is the same Firewalk with Me poem, or are the words different?
Mm-hmm. Nope, same one.
Oh.
I had the same thought. I wasn't sure if the words were slightly different, but no, I looked it up.
Nope, it's the same one. And I'm like, hell yeah, let's go, Mike.
And
he hasn't talked forward all season. I'm glad he looks so happy reciting this poem.
Right.
It's just cool to me.
They're letting the actor say the line again, which is actually a cool thing here. Al Stroll gets his work. But
well, it's also like he says through the darkness of future past. Like now that line,
yeah, it has a new meaning.
I thought that was so fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, I've never really thought about the Firewalk with Me poem.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
there's several moments from here going forward where I go, wait, did they know? No, they didn't. But they knew, and like over and over again thinking that, even though I know they didn't know, because the poem totally feels like it's conveniently appropriate. He transports Cooper to the convenience store, and they reach the Dutchman's and meet with Jeffries and have a very weird conversation with the tea kettle, Philip Jeffries. He asks him to find a very specific date, which is February 23rd, 1989, the night that Laura Palmer was killed, if you're paying attention at home.
And then I wrote down what Jeffries says after this.
Oh, perfect.
I'll just read it. After Cooper says the date, he says, I'll find it for you. It's slippery in here. It's good to see you again, Cooper. Say hello to Gordon if you see him. He'll remember the unofficial version. This is where you'll find Judy. There may be someone. Did you ask me this? And then he pulls out the owl cave thing and it turns into the infinity symbol.
Yeah.
And he says, there it is. You can go in now. Cooper, remember.
What do we mean?
And then Mike goes,
Mike says
electricity.
Yeah. Okay, there are a couple things I'm pulling out of that I want to try to observe, and I'm curious about y'all's thoughts. So Gordon is going to remember the unofficial version.
Yeah.
We go into part 18, and it seems like we've entered a new reality. And so somehow Gordon is also going to share Cooper's awareness of whatever the previous reality was. We don't see that paid off in part 18, so I'm left to wonder what the significance of that is. Does that have something to do with the fact that Gordon is literally David Lynch? I don't know. I'm sure we could talk a lot about that in part 18. I was really disturbed by the fact that Mike is saying electricity and it's the owl cave symbol turning into the infinity sign, because it's like textually Cooper is using these forces that we've associated with, like, I don't know, evil or just like the kind of scary otherworldliness, and employing those things to go forth on whatever his mission is. And it's kind of like, okay, Cooper, I don't know why you're so happily using electricity and machines and manipulating these symbols. And then the last thing that I'm wondering is, he says, this is where you'll find Judy, as if that's part of the goal.
Right.
And it's, what's going on? Is that what Cooper wants to do? He wants to find Judy. Isn't that what Doppel Cooper wanted to do? Aren't you trying? It's not even like this is how you'll stop Judy, or this is where you'll find Judy.
I think the difference here is Good Coop wants to kill Judy. I'm pretty sure that's the plan.
Yeah.
I think Evil Coop wants to reunite with Judy to get more to level up, I guess. I don't know. Those are the two distinctions in my head for whatever reason.
Gotcha.
I don't know. But I think it's interesting that they're effectively the same thing.
Right. And it's, what is it that Cooper does in the rest of this episode that is him trying to find and defeat Judy? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Back to the house.
Or does he know that that's where Judy... He doesn't go back to the house.
At the end of part 18, aren't they back in front of the house?
At the end of part 18.
But we're talking about the time travel part.
Like, it seems like the past February 23rd, 1989, Philip Jeffries is saying this is where you'll find Judy.
Yeah.
I understood that as Judy manifested themselves as in the moment when Laura was murdered, and if you can return to that scene, then you can find the spirit.
I see. So maybe in that case, it seems like Cooper and Philip Jeffries share a misunderstanding about like what Judy is and how to stop it, because clearly they were not victorious in that.
I'm not
mission.
sure.
But this is what's so juicy about these episodes is like all of these readings feel completely right. Like for me, part of the reading was they misunderstand it. They think that saving Laura is how you quote unquote defeat Judy. But in actuality, she's been with Sarah all along because she persisted. And it's like, he doesn't even address that. And then it realizes in the last moment, oh, fuck. And we can talk about that when we talk about part 18. But like, you could read this entirely differently and also be right. It's all right.
But I think in this moment here, it's like when Cooper travels back in time to Firewalk with me, we're meant to go, oh shit. I think the Judy line is like, you can find Judy in this era. Like Judy is somewhere in this timeline. I guess would be my interpretation of it.
I see.
Because this is this is like functionally the next sequence is different from trying to defeat Judy. I mean, it's not, but he's not confronting Judy in this moment. He's trying to get Laura because she has the special juice.
She's a golden orbed person.
She's a Gordon orb.
There should have been a Gordon orb. Forget the Bob orb. Where's the Gordon orb?
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I also felt a pit in my stomach, by the way, when the owl cave symbol turned into 2 time-ins and then an 8. I was like, oh god, it's always been like that, hasn't it? No, time is all... Again, one of those, like, did they know? They can't have known. This is just a goofy graphical thing, but, like, wow, this is interesting. So anyways, we are extremely in Fire Walk With Me archival footage time now. There's how do we feel about the Cooper being in the woods retcon? One of the most controversial retcons of the series.
I don't read it as a retcon.
It's more an answer that we didn't think we needed, I think.
I don't even read it as an answer. I think it's a coincidence because in that moment, Laura is screaming because she is thinking about James being killed by Leland.
Yeah.
And I think it's a fun coincidence that
she looks into
Cooper
the woods.
just happens to be there. Yeah.
Yeah. The way that they deftly handle archival footage mixed with new footage here is incredible. You could be led to believe that this was all like filmed somehow together or something, or what parts of it did they use a new actress? Because I think that it would only make sense if when he actually like is holding hands with her and whatnot, that's just not Cheryl Lee. That's like another.
It's Cheryl Lee.
It's Cheryl Lee in a like young Laura Palmer wig. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I love that. There's a line in here. Laura saw Cooper in the woods, as I was referring to there. And then your Laura disappeared. It's just me now. I don't remember the context.
Is that in Fire Walk With Me? Or
that is.
Yeah. She says it to James when she's with James in the woods.
Right.
Yeah. Which is, it's really fascinating how that line feels like it has an additional weight to it now that it's like something that's being said to Cooper in a way as well, because he has this sort of image or conception of like who Laura is and what it means to save her, that is ultimately undermined by whatever ends up happening. So like the recontextualization of that line I thought was fascinating.
I think the James and Laura scene is so fascinating without music. Because Laura yells, "I love you, James," and that's when Laura's theme is supposed to be blaring. But without it, it just feels so raw and just, I like appreciated that performance like that much more.
Yeah.
Well, it feels like you're not watching a movie anymore. Like you're actually just walking in on these people's lives.
Yeah.
We've gone from like the cinematic portrayal of Laura's death to like, this is how it actually happened. There was no beautiful music when it happened. And again, speaking of like the feeling of the surreal and how the old mixes with the new here, when Cooper grabs Laura's arm to be like, "I'm going to get you out of here," and color returns, I felt
it's wild.
I felt so weird.
Yeah. It's intense.
Because then you're like, wait, the movie was in color. Why are we color? Like you start doubting your own memory. I wrote here after that moment, I said, what are we even doing covering this show for the podcast? Who are we to cover this? Like, it's just really high level. I mean,
yeah. Cooper says we're going home.
Yeah.
And then does the theme song kick in first? Many things happen.
It kicks in here in the scene where Cooper says we're going home. And the Laura Palmer's theme plays in this. As we cut to footage from the fucking pilot.
Yeah, it's nuts. Josie Packard in the mirror. Come on.
That's the one.
The moment where you see Josie, you're like, what the fuck is going on?
This feels wrong. I felt myself in PeaksChatz 01 going, and the first shot of an iconic series is this. Josie Packard like hums and I was like, I felt myself being there again. I was like, no. It's all happened. Laura's body crucially disappears from the plastic outside. It's gone now.
The electricity's out of there.
Yeah.
We still see Pete Martell kiss Catherine on the ear, and she doesn't care. She's reading the newspaper, and he goes fishing. And
now, hear me out.
I'm hearing you.
Okay.
Cooper saving Laura, probably bad.
Yeah.
Not a great thing.
Right.
But Pete got to go fishing. So who can say if what Cooper did was good or bad?
Yeah, if we were to balance that on the scales, I mean, it's we'll see. It's complex. It's hard to decide.
Who can say? Moral gray area.
I will say Pete didn't seem happy to be going fishing. He's just sort of trudging along.
Going fishing.
But it's played like he is like This is the one moment where it's obvious that they got a random person to dress up as feet and then go fishing.
Right.
For like a 2-second shot of that. But I liked it. And this episode is dedicated to the memory of Jack Nance.
Yeah.
Can we tell Magellan the trivia now, by the way, Ryan?
What trivia?
About the glove and who the glove was originally. The glove was originally supposed to be wielded by Jack Nance's character, by Pete Martell.
What?
Do y'all
The
know
garden
this?
glove?
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
There is a
What?
quote somewhere about the green glove that was an idea that David Lynch had that was like, I can't tell if it was Pete or if it was Jack Nance as a different character was going to be the one to wield the glove. And then they invented Freddie afterwards.
Whoa.
No way. What?
I can go
Jack
back
Nance,
and corroborate.
didn't Jack Nance die a while
Jack
ago?
Nance
No,
like in
was
the 90s?
dead.
This was like an old idea that he had. Green
Ah.
glove, Jack Nance.
What the fuck? Oh my god! It's real!
I had the green glove idea from long ago, and originally Jack Nance was going to wear it, and that would have been a whole different thing. Quote,
David, why did you have this idea for 25 years? Oh my god.
Yeah, true story. I thought you knew that. I thought we were going to drop that on Magellan at some point.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
what the hell?
That's
Imagining Jack Nance with
wild.
the glove is so much funnier. Like, imagine him. punching a
Why?
log.
Why was David Lynch so attached to this green glove idea?
It's hilarious is the reason why.
Oh my god.
I'm so glad I got to reveal this to y'all.
Wow.
God, and then we see all the stuff from there, and Sarah Palmer is in her house. We get like a full
Oh my
minute.
God.
We get a full minute of her yelling from the other room.
It's so terrifying.
Yeah.
And you don't even know, like, if you're not reading the subtitles, which only after like 30 seconds they say Sarah continues to wail, you don't know who it is. Like, you can barely, and then it's like, oh, yep, that's Sarah. Yep, we're in the Palmer house. I know what's happening here. And she comes into the room and she sees Laura's homecoming photo and destroys it. And then the footage loops and she destroys it and undestroys it and destroys it again. And
Yeah.
Sarah is going through the cycles of some sort of grief. But it-
Definitely feels like she's reacting to
What's happening?
whatever Cooper is doing.
Yeah.
Right, and crucially, this scene doesn't resolve. Like, she can't finish destroying it, and she can't undestroy it. That's why the footage is, like, looping back and forth, because Cooper broke the timeline. So it's like, well, now you you don't have... There's no catharsis at all anymore. And then, yeah, I think... Is there anything else left in this episode before the song?
Well,
we go back to the forest where Laura
Oh, yeah.
disappears.
We
hear her
the
screaming.
sound. Before Laura disappears, we hear the sound that plays in episode 1
Right.
of the gramophone, where when the giant says, "Listen to the sounds," we get that. That's the payoff for that.
It's the Judy sound, right? I guess.
What's a Judy sound?
I don't know. I just felt like I know this should be bad, and I've heard it before.
It's a different sound. There's only one time. There's only one other time it's played.
Which is in episode 1.
Yeah.
And don't we also hear the like sound when Laura gets like sucked up into the sky in the first episode and she screams? I feel like we hear that too.
Maybe.
Yeah, we do hear like the curtains like
Yeah.
going crazy. Yeah.
Right. So it's like, is this the same moment as that? Is Laura continuously being sucked away somewhere by something?
Yeah.
That's like reclaiming her or trapping her or something.
Yeah, my interpretation is this is Judy just plucking Laura out of there.
Mhm.
That's how I felt as well.
That makes sense.
And then
oh
man,
fuck, dude.
here's a little bit of good feeling, I guess, but also melancholy.
It is an
considering
incredible
the context of the song.
Well, yeah.
The song only plays when Cooper fails.
Exactly. It's the song from episode 14 of the original. So it's from Lonely Souls. It's called "The World Spins," and it's Julie Cruz, looking great, looking fantastic, singing in 2017 or whatever.
The show really takes its time fading the song up.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It makes it feel like she's coming. Her spirit is like in the forest or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Julie Cruz is just a person, but the way that they frame her and would work with her in this makes it feel like this is not like what's real anymore? Like, is she magical? Like, what's going on? She's just a singer, but it's really emotional here, and you get the sense that there's a lot more story to tell. Because there is. We get to see what a world without. And part 18 is what would have happened if Laura never was born and everybody just lived their lives, and that's all. And it's super weird, but that's all. That's what you thought. No, that's what we have. Any stream notes for part 17?
Julie Cruz was not happy with how this was done.
Really?
She wasn't happy that the song is shortened and that it immediately goes to credits.
I see.
When it fades up. And in the background of this is the chromatics. They apparently did a rearrangement with the chromatics. They worked out a whole thing. And she was upset that it was overdubbed like all the other songs in the show.
Overdubbed with the
so
original?
Right.
I see.
So all those things combined, she wasn't very happy with how it turned out. But which is a bummer, but I kind of looking at the episode and knowing that we get 30 minutes of driving in part 18, I can understand why she would be upset.
Yes,
so.
Right. Exactly.
Like, what they choose to spend the next hour with is fascinating and deliberate, and for this to be 30 seconds, Julie Cruz, thank you, bye. It's like, wait, no, what? She's a great singer. Come back. Sheesh, y'all. I don't know if I'm ready.
I think we gotta be ready.
Okay. Let's steel ourselves and get ready. So we're going to take a break here, I think, based on the time. And we'll do our regular plug zone. We're not going to do our chat sims now because we're going to be doing these both just to pull the curtain back. We're going to record them back to back and release them separately as we decided. But we'll do our chat sims at the end of part 18. So let's go to plugs. Ryan, where can people find you on the online?
You can find me at BluestRose430.
Fantastic. Thank you. And I'll do the plugs on this time, Magellan, if you don't mind.
Cool. Sounds good.
You can email us questions, comments, concerns over at chatspod@gmail.com. That's chatspod@gmail.com. Our Twitter account is @chatspod. We have all sorts of exciting updates about the show over there. We have a subreddit r/chatspod. And if you like our show, please consider rating it on Apple Podcasts or your podcast platform of choice. And most crucially, we have our Patreon where we put out a lot of bonus content. It's patreon.com/chatspod. And if you'd like to support us over there, we have different tiers at $1, $3, and $5 a month that get you all sorts of bonus stuff. For example, if you're a $5 patron, you get to be thanked at the end of a main feed episode every week. And our current $5 patrons include Arthur, Jen, Magellan's mom, Marcus, Nick and Pat of the Brothers at Infinite Celestial War, Fendon, Six, and Stefan. Thank you very much for supporting the show. All things Chatspod can be found at chatspod.com. We recently updated the site to include show pages for everything up to and including PeaksChatz, as well as a link to all of our chat sims for the entire series ever. And if you noticed our really rad podcast art, it was done by Camilla, who's found at Camillastrator on all of the social media platforms. She's fantastic, and so is our podcast art. Thank you to Ryan and to Magellan. Now is not the time for me to make funny jokes at the end of the episode. Thank you for listening to PeaksChatz. Damn fine podcast? Question mark?
See you at the curtain call.